Hi, I'm Kimberly Carter. I am a Gen Z leadership specialist and I'm also a confidence coach. So, today I want to start off talking about my new series that I'm about to begin on setting boundaries. Now, I realize that boundaries can be a complicated topic for some. This is an area that for years and years and years I struggled in. And then I had some moments of realization. One of those moments being that if I don't set boundaries around my time and my energy, I will not accomplish my goals. What does that matter for me? For me, coming from a healing journey of having to have reconnected with my biological family, having to reset and figure out who I am identity wise, and just having the path that I had, I realized that not setting these boundaries and not accomplishing these goals was going to further make me feel like I was not achieving what I wanted to in life. In my life, I've had periods where seemingly I was behind. I shared my journey on being fired twice in the same year. And when I was fired, I received a lot of judgment, a lot of backlash, a lot of when are you going to do something for yourself? When are you going to get a job? What are you going to do? All kinds of comments that consistently and constantly made me question my own value, my own path, and my own self worth. And so in those seasons, I had to realize something. Boundaries was what was going to help me get to the doing something for myself, right? Get to the next job, the next outlet. I had to go through a period that I've shared in previous videos of reconnecting with myself, but those boundaries that I learned to put in place was what helped me get through these periods. Because if I had not erected the boundaries around my time, around my energy, around whatever I was paying attention to, then again, I never would have achieved the next goal, which is getting me to the next thing, right? And so I want to share more about boundaries. I'm going to do a series. And so I just want to share today a few reasons why this topic is coming up. And so boundaries are very important on your healing journey. And everyone's journey is different, but everyone will still need to learn how to put boundaries in place. It Healing requires focus and it requires intentionality. And that's where the boundaries come in. The next thing I want to share is that boundaries are not about being spiteful. They're necessary and they're a self-care tool. The same way a self care tool can be taking a long soak in Epsom salt once a week as a way that you just reconnect with yourself. This is just another tool. Boundaries are important. The next thing is for understanding emotional and spiritual boundaries, right? We love the people in our lives, our friends, our families. If you have children, if you have a spouse, you're a child of someone, you may be caretaking. And so we all have people in our lives that we are called to care about and care for. And so, even in the midst of that, carving out small amounts of time for yourself and setting a hard boundary around that is important because you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't take care of others if you're not taking care of yourself, or you're going to give out, right? That's an important thing. Um, Also, something that I want to go over in my series is about you're setting the boundaries. They're not spiteful. And how can you make sure that you don't hurt someone with your boundary, right? Someone who's used to more access to you. Someone who in previous seasons they would just call and you would answer. In this season now, you may not be available for that call at that time. You may not be available for the emotional impact that the call or the person will have on you. So setting that boundary and not doing it maliciously, but as a protective mechanism for yourself so that you can achieve whatever it is you're focused on, right? Another reason I'm going to talk about this is because it's November, the week of Thanksgiving. The holiday season is a very demanding time. However, growing up, I saw my godmother start in November with her New Year's goals and resolutions. When I was younger, I would be like, why don't you just start in January with everyone else? And she'd be like, starting in January is too late. That means I'm not going to achieve it. And so as I've grown older, I've realized that setting a boundary in place in November or December is what's going to enable me to focus on whatever it is I plan to achieve next year. Whether you call them resolutions, I like to just call them goals so that they feel more obtainable, right? Whatever you call them, when a fresh year comes in, it is in the air, in the atmosphere to start thinking about what do I want to achieve, right? Even if it's something small, maybe I just want to watch 1 hour less of TV each week. That's a very small goal, right? But maybe you start now wrapping your mind around when you take that hour from television, what will replace it? How will this look? If you're in a family, is there a ritual of watching movie nights on Friday? Well, then that might not be the time that you take the hour for yourself. Maybe you take it on a Wednesday evening where y'all falling into a habit of watching TV, but you don't have to do it on that night. It's not family TV night. And so that's another reason going into the new year. So 2025 is pretty much here on the horizon. We're looking to it, and we need to get those boundaries in place right now so that we can make sure we're focused. And so that's what I wanted to come on and talk about today. Also, to help set boundaries, consider getting my journal, right? This is Rise, Thrive, and Flourish. This is about cultivating your self confidence. But throughout this journal, I'm talking about different aspects of boundary setting, goal setting, and just reconnecting to some of the goals and dreams you've previously had. Also, journaling is a whole another way to set a boundary. This journal has 60 prompts in it, and you may only need 10 or 15 minutes a day, but that is a small way that you can start incorporating having a boundary for yourself. So it could look like I wake up, I make my coffee, I take 10 minutes to just be with one prompt, read it and write it out. I'm not saying that the boundaries has to be really large. It can be very small. Actually, my personal saying about this, and this isn't popular, is that if you do something consistently, even if it's only 10 or 15 minutes a day or every other day, that's better than setting this huge goal of 30 minutes and never meeting it and beating yourself up. Small consistencies are continuing to build you in whatever the goal is. It could be exercise. So, for example, if I say I don't have 45 minutes to walk every day, but what if every day you just started off walking for 10 minutes a day? That's a boundary you have to have, right? You have to have at least a 15-minute boundary to walk for 10. You got to throw on your clothes, you got to make sure that you're in place. You got to set your device to record or however you're going to keep up with that. It's small, but if you do that every day, it is better than going 30 minutes once and then a month later you haven't done anything else. And so again, I'm very big on very small incremental goals because sometimes that's what it takes to get you there. And you may start with the small 10 minutes and it grows. You look up and now you're walking 20 minutes. Now you're walking 30 minutes. Now you're just more consistent longer, but it started with a small 10-minute boundary and goal that you just consistently kept. And so definitely tune in. The journal, the link for my journal is in my description. It's in my link tree, but definitely still just tune in just because we're starting to set our minds towards 2025 and boundaries is what's going to help us achieve our goals. Again, I'm Kimberly and thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time.